What's going on, everybody? Karate Kid Fanatics back here again today with Cobra Kai Canada once again. Today we're going to discuss a few different things, potential characters we see returning in the Season 6 of Cobra Kai that have not returned yet, and just some other, final thoughts and stuff before the first 5 episodes come out. I just want to thank Cobra Kai Canada for coming back once again and appreciate you coming on.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's an honor to be here, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun with these characters tonight. Oh, yeah. So let's get started.
Yeah, so the first one we'll discuss, I feel like this is the most talked about, all the, articles and stuff. Julie Pierce from The Next Karate Kid. Very highly anticipated from a lot of people. People are mixed on the film, but, it is Miyagi's other student, the only other student we know of, other than we did teach Sam, I guess, a little later. But what are your thoughts on her coming back? Do you see her coming back? And I guess what is some of your theories or ways you may see her returning?
Well, first I would like to go back, because when they had that strike, the writer's strike,
right,
the WGA, I think that might have been a blessing in disguise. That's if Hilary Swank does, if she wants to reprise her role as Julie Pierce, because as you know, she was pregnant with twins. She had her babies.
She had a kid,
yeah. So after she had her babies, a couple months later, she was back into shooting a couple shows, I believe, or something like that, or a film. And so she was saying in a couple of interviews how nobody contacted her to come on the show. We don't know, whether that's true or not.
We're just, non-disclosure agreement, or she may already knew. I mean, of course, she's not going to admit to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, why would she, if somebody asked her in an interview, oh, yeah, you're going to be on Cobra Kai, obviously she's not going to say right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they go through those, I believe it's called an NDA protocol.
Yeah,
so,
NDA.
So, obviously she doesn't want to get sued. She's not going to spoil it for, for the rest of us. So, fair enough. There is mixed reactions from the fan base. Some do want her to come back and some don't. Why, I have no idea. I would like to see her at least make some sort of cameo, because she is part of the Miyagi-verse. And, she had that connection with Mr. Miyagi. And as you know, Daniel did too. So they had to have known each other or connected one way or the other somehow, some way, right?
Absolutely.
How, when, where, that's up in the air. That's for the creators to decide how they'll do that.
Right.
But if I had to guess, I would say she could possibly return. Yeah, sure. Why not? Cameo for sure.
Yeah. For me, I feel like, me and you've spoke on this, before. I feel it's just one of these things. I feel the big three definitely did offer that. Whether she accepted or not, she's done some very great things after The Next Karate Kid, obviously Oscars and different stuff. So, that's just up to her. I feel like if she doesn't return, it was on her own terms. There's a variety of different ways she comes in. I don't see it being anything big. I could see maybe an episode or 2. I've seen some of the Sensei theories. I just don't know if she'd be willing to, commit to that much of time. But I do feel there will be some sort of cameo of some sort.
You bring up a good point, actually. Okay, so let's just go to the Sakai Taikai tournament, for example. There is rumors that there is a sensei bracket.
Yes.
And Miyagi-Do doesn't have a female sensei still.
Absolutely, right.
So do you think they could possibly implement her in there that way somehow?
Yeah, that's definitely, a possible one. It's one of these things, my biggest thing on that, I could so see it happen. I just don't see her committing that much time to the.
That's what I'm saying? Trying to think of.
That'd be. I feel like that'd be great. See her back in action. I mean, her karate really was pretty decent. Back then. That film gets a lot of hate, but it was big. For women at the time. I remember speaking with Michael Cavalieri. He said, women overseas really that really connected with him a lot, because there wasn't really many women action films at that time.
Right.
So I feel like it would be cool to see her back on screen, doing some karate, but time will tell on that.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. They had a pretty decent cast, to be honest with you.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah, he's huge now.
Tons of stuff. Ironside.
Ironside.
Cavalier's doing stuff like Sopranos. I mean, they got some. There's the actress that plays her grandmother. Can't remember her name. She's been in some of those big soap operas, I think. So, I mean, there's been some really great actors and actresses, a part of that film.
Definitely, yeah, definitely decent actors and actresses in that movie. I know it like bombed completely.
Yeah.
Um, why do you think it kind of like bombed? What was it that the fan base wasn't like
So
liking about it, you think?
here's my biggest take on the next Karate Kid. I kind of compare it to Rocky Five a little bit in the sense of I feel if both of those were standalone movies, I feel
Mhm.
like people would respect them 100% more. I just feel like, the Karate Kid. I mean, you see, for me, Karate Kid One's the best. People say
Sure,
I,
it's the
I love two
original.
and three as well,
Hmm.
but there's just nothing like Miyagi and Cobra Kai and LaRusso and
Hmm.
Barnes Silver chosen later on.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
think, I just think not having Daniel LaRusso in it that's just kind of an off for people.
So you think Ralph was probably the issue there, right?
100%.
It's crazy because like that movie came out in 1994,
Yep.
and I believe it
94.
had, yeah, and it's funny because like I had a budget. Well, in '94, I had a budget of like 12 million, which was considered big money in the
Yeah, yeah,
'90s,
yeah.
right? And I believe like box office it was like 15 million. So they
It
did
made money, but not
they
much.
profited, yeah, like
Yeah.
about 3 million, but like as far as like the reception, it was like just horrible, right?
Yeah.
I don't know like the what Rotten Tomatoes approval is or anything like
Yeah.
that, but I know it's not
I
too
think it's
great.
kind of like middle of the pack. I haven't looked at it in a few years.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, I think there is it was a first time director. I think that might have been a little bit of, or it might not a first time. It's either a first time director or first time writer, one of the two. And I think that kind of does hurt it a little bit.
Right, I believe it was Christopher Kane, I think it
And
was.
yeah,
Yeah, and
and you just didn't have Robert Mark Kamen writing it anymore. I feel like
yes.
he wrote the first three, and I feel like when it's your material, and same thing with John Avildsen directing, I think it's just
Hmm.
the really only things it had was Pat Morita and Pat Johnson training. Other than that, well, Jerry Weintraub producing as well. But when you really
Right.
only have just a few people from the originals, not even, all different casting directors, wardrobe,
Hmm.
all those things, I feel like that just kind of changes
Hmm.
the trajectory of the film.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's funny because like even Karate Kid 3, for example, that got like mixed reactions as well,
Yeah,
right? So you can't make everybody happy,
yeah.
right? The
Well,
problem
I'll
with that
say,
is, oh,
yeah,
go ahead, sorry.
yeah. I don't mean to interrupt. I'll say with Karate Kid 3, Thomas Ian Griffith saves that movie. There's so
100%.
many plot holes. I love Karate Kid 3. Like I've watched it a million times.
Hmm.
But if there's no Thomas Ian Griffith, that movie, it's going to be hated on even more than it already is. I feel like it's been more appreciated over time, especially with the series and Terry Silver and stuff. But Thomas Ian Griffith saves that movie for me 100.
100%. I agree with you on that. And I think, with the show Cobra Kai itself, it kind of gave it like more fame than it
Yeah,
had, right? So,
right,
because like a lot of people today are going back to the previous characters,
right.
right? Or
Yeah,
films, sorry, and they're seeing Terry
yeah,
Silver, Mike Barnes, who's my
yeah,
favorite character,
right.
and he was a young teenager at that time, and I fell in love with that character, and what he
Yeah.
did to let's be realistic. Mike Barnes wanted to. He could have easily won the All
Oh,
Valley, right? Yeah,
yeah, he
like
was playing her. Yeah, I mean, he could have
yeah,
3 points to zero in 10 seconds. I mean, he was
ex-
scoring one, doing some illegal crap. Yeah.
exactly.
Most people claim he's a two-time champ, but let's be real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. He was a next level fighter, right? Compared
Yeah.
to what I mean, Daniel LaRusso,
Yeah.
right? He was just trained by Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Miyagi. I'm not like crapping on Miyagi-Do or anything like that. I don't want people
Right.
to get mad, but like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all around fighter, Mike Barnes was like highly
Anybody,
skilled.
if anyone disagrees with that, it's just
Yeah, it was just Terry Silver's tactics that I mean, and the kata that caught him off
right,
guard.
right.
Supposedly, I know it's a movie at the end of the day, but like I mean, we're just talking about like characters in general.
Yeah.
And yeah, funny enough, because you were talking about Julia Pierce. How about Colonel Dugan? What do you think
I
about
mean,
him?
with Dugan, I mean, I've seen some stuff. People say, Kreese and Silver could have had some war connection because he was in the. I don't know if they'd be in the same branch. I'm not sure exactly what Dugan was in. He had like his little JROTC police group. I just don't really know because I mean, if they were in the war, obviously, but that movie's based in Boston, the others in California, so I could potentially see that. But I mean, it'd be cool to see, but I don't really see it happening.
Funny you bring that up because you got to interesting because they say Colonel Dugan's history he could have been in the Vietnam War as well.
Yeah.
And because he was a colonel, he could have crossed paths with John Kreese, because John Kreese was captain at the time, Terry Silver, and they say he could actually could have met Captain Turner as well.
Yeah.
So sure. Like it could be an interesting crossover if they decide to bring Colonel Dugan back.
And I mean, I don't remember. I think I might have read something. Michael Ironside's health was kind of declining at one point. I hope all is well with him and whatnot, but I don't know. I haven't really looked into IMDb too much lately, but I do know at one time he did have some health issues. Hope he's well and all, but I mean, it'd be great to see him and all. I just really don't see it happening, but I mean, there's any way you could write that in for me.
Right, yeah. Michael Ironside, he had 3 types of cancers, and he beat them all.
Right, yeah.
He had thyroid, prostate, and bowel cancer.
Oh, God,
So he had all 3 of those, beat those, and he's still continuing his acting career, believe it or not. He's still active. If you're an 80s, 90s person that grew up in the 80s, 90s, and watched the films, I call them the golden generation of films because those films were the best. You'll remember Michael Ironside when he played in one of my favorite movies. He always played the villain roles, right? He was in Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, yeah.
And he played, I believe his name was Agent Richter, and he killed that role. He was awesome, right? Yeah. And he's had a pretty successful acting career.
Oh yeah.
And he's also Canadian, from Toronto, so
yeah.
So I know quite a bit about him. Sure. And but yeah, I guess those would be the possible ways of a Colonel Dugan to somehow if they do decide to bring him back. Maybe since Kreese is in Korea with Kim Do-eun, maybe he's stationed there.
I mean, heck, you never know.
It didn't end for him well in the next Karate Kid, so
I'm sure he got fired after the aftermath of,
Yeah, and you bring up such a good point about the West Coast and East Coast, because he was stationed in Boston, right?
Right.
Same thing as Julie Pierce. So like it's still, you still question how would they kind of bring these.
Again, if they were in the war, I mean, not everybody goes to the same state after the war. So
100%. That does make sense too. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. As we mentioned earlier about the Vietnam War, because he was a colonel, and Captain Turner, John Kreese, Terry Silver. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. So
the reason I never count out any character returning, they brought back the Bell Tower Girl. If you can bring her back, anyone that's had, I feel like any line or anything, I feel could come back. So.
For sure. And if you've seen the Big Three were recently promoting Cobra Kai season 6 and doing tons of interviews this week.
Yeah.
Hayden Schlossberg, if you watch the interview, he says if you're a hardcore fan of any of the characters from the Karate Kid films, he goes, there's possibility that some of them actually might be in Cobra Kai season 6. So I know he wouldn't say that for no reason.
Yeah.
So, but the question is who, right?
Well, there's a couple we'll discuss here in a couple minutes that I feel will definitely return. As we close up kind of on the next Karate Kid, a couple more characters, Eric McGowan, another one. Other than Julie Pierce, I feel like if another one did return other than her, I feel like he'd be second in that next Karate Kid list due to their, relationship if they were still together. I could maybe see him making, a small little cameo or whatnot. But, it's one of these things. It's just, does the Big Three want to add that in or,
Eric McGowan is an interesting character because if Julie Pierce makes an appearance, I'd say they bring in Eric McGowan only if they're married or, that's the only way I could see them bringing him in, because other than that, I don't see him in the picture. Now, Eric McGowan, I believe his real name is Chris Conrad.
Chris Conrad, yep.
The thing about him is actually he's a real martial artist. He trains in kickboxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and he's a purple belt, and he's still acting. And he's still looking good in everything. He's very he's not old or anything like that. So his age. So if Julie Pierce comes back, why not? Why not bring Eric McGowan and say they're married? And I believe in the next Karate Kid, he joined Alpha Elite, so he can
Want to get into Naval or Air Force Academy?
Air Force Academy. He needed a recommendation from the Alpha Elite, right?
Yep.
And obviously, he quit it. But like, so it'd be, you know what I mean? So maybe like, Julie Pierce and him, they're married and maybe they have kids or they don't. And he could be in the Air Force Academy still. So, you know what I mean? Maybe Daniel gives her a call and says, hey, you know what I mean? Hey, we're entering the Sakai Taika. Are you still training? What's going on?
I mean, if he'll call in all of his old rivals to help him out, why wouldn't he kind of get an ally? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Chosen showed up, so why not?
Yeah. Mike Barnes, both those guys tried to really kill him, so.
Yeah, not to go off topic or anything, but because we saw like the trailer, what did you think of Mike Barnes training Miyagi-Do? I'm going to stay out of this because I don't want to upset people.
I liked it because the reason I did kind of like it is because I'm not going to lie to you. Seeing him kind of nicer in the last season, I didn't want it. I wanted him to. I kind of wanted. I wanted to get the badass he was back in Karate Kid 3.
That's what I wanted.
I wanted that. You could see that fire back within him, and I like seeing that more of the Karate's bad boy. My way or the highway, like you said. I really like to see that. I think the big three did do a good job. They kind of gave us the other, but now they're giving us more of what. I'm not gonna say the new fans, but more of us hardcore Karate Kid 3, Karate Kid fans wanted to see last season.
Fair enough. Yeah, like me, man. I want to see the old Mike Barnes back. I want him, I want him to go on a complete tear. I still a firm believer of the 50% dojo claim. Like you can't convince me that he doesn't have that paper somewhere in his house. You know what I mean? From the lawyer. Like that's absolutely bullshit.
He was 18 though, so I mean there's no telling, So
we'll see. Like I'm hoping like for some complete turnaround with that character. Like I hope this is just like some plot twist. You know what I mean? Because he in the trailer he was like to Daniel, he's like the deal was my way or the highway. What deal are they talking about? Maybe it's something petty. I don't know. It could be something maybe completely off.
Yeah. I feel it's just one of those things. Daniel probably called him up, hey, and he's like, well, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it my way, or I'm not gonna do that shit, type of thing. So
it'll be interesting. But like I said, I'm hoping for a plot twist. I'm just not going with this whole every character's got to redeem themselves and join Miyagi-Do. That's too much for me, man. Like that's just killing it for me. That's gonna kill the show. Like
some people I don't think will want to agree. I agree with you on that. Because look, real life. I know it's a show, it's fictional, but not every dickhead turns into a good guy.
That's what I mean. Dutch, for example, he hasn't changed since the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what are you gonna like? You might as well just call the show Miyagi-Do if this is the case. Like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah.
Well, with Dutch, let's go ahead and I guess get into him. They did talk about he was in prison for doing stupid stuff. He was talking about they were talking about like how his sentence it went up kind of over time. So that does make me think he's still kind of crazy like he was one time. So I'd love, Chad McQueen. Other than really Chad McQueen for me, I'd love to see him back. He's out of acting. He's got more money than he's got sense, from his dad, and really busy with McQueen Racing. So I doubt we'll see him. He was offered in season 2, but man, I hope the big three just pulled something together to be able to get him in. I don't even care if it's for 2 sentences. I just love to see Dutch one last time.
Oh, like Dutch is a character. Like he's there's something about him that lights up like the screen. His character alone, right? Yeah. He's okay. So Martin Kove and William Zabka. Well, Martin Kove did this interview where he said him and Zabka, they personally called him and they said, hey, these guys have a small part for you. And, because of conflicting schedule at the time with his McQueen Racing, if you think about it, he was going to do it, but because of the schedule thing, he couldn't. So, but
he was originally in the script.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, exactly. So to say like he will not make an appearance in season 6, I would give it 50-50, man. Like you gotta have a little faith there because the big three, this is the final season. They're gonna maybe pull something out of their ass and like
Right.
bring them in. Because like, the fan base reaction if Dutch returns will be like a WWE like pop entrance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like,
everybody will like just go crazy.
100%.
So like Chad McQueen, it would have to be something obviously small.
Right. Yeah.
I can't see it like, being big. Obviously there was when Kreese went to prison, everybody thought, we would have saw, McQueen there because, he was locked up too. If now the next rumor gossip kind of thing is because Terry Silver might be going to prison. I can't see that happening because he's a rich and powerful guy, and with political influence, it's highly unlikely. They're saying like if he does, they he could cross paths with Dutch in there.
He wouldn't know Dutch really, though, so that to me
that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what
I could see that, but
exactly the only way that logically makes sense for Dutch to make an appearance is at Johnny's wedding.
Yeah, that's a good possibility. I feel Rob Garrison unfortunately passed away, but I do feel we'll see Tony O'Dell as Jimmy and Ron Thomas back as Bobby. I feel like
100%, those guys are in.
We've seen Tony O'Dell in season 2, and then Ron Thomas in 2, and I believe 3.
Right, and I can see him marrying Johnny because he's a pastor.
Yeah,
right. So I can see that whole OG Cobra.
And of course, if they have the wedding, I mean, of course, all his boys are going to be there. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a variety of things. A lot of these characters, I mean, they've done such a great way of writing people in. Even like,
they did,
a lot of people didn't agree with me when I thought Jessica Andrews would come back, and I was always a big advocate of that. Made several videos on it, and I was like, look. They're going to probably bring her back in some way. They brung the other 2 girls back. So, again, like Julie Pierce, I know she wasn't a girlfriend of Daniel's, but, I feel like they're going to bring whoever back that they can. Everyone's going to get offered that they can.
100%. Like I said earlier about Hayden Schlossberg's interview this week, he was saying, if you're a hardcore fan of the characters of, the Karate Kid films. So when he said that, obviously somebody's coming back. Like how many and who? That's why we're here, like talking about. So, Dutch would be phenomenal. I'm all for Dutch, whether it's a small cameo or just anything, little part. I don't care. I'd love to see Dutch come back. He deserves to come back. Why not?
Yeah, so with there is a McQueen Racing Instagram page that's verified, so we know it's legit. That's still, I guess his daughter runs it. She's posted some stuff. Like she posted, I remember one time, like old casting call papers after season 2 came out. So I mean, it's not like he's opposed and hates it or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you bring up something very interesting. His daughter, Madison, Chad McQueen's daughter, she does run that page, and I don't know if you remember. This is a few years back. Maybe it was prior to season 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, there was a posting that she posted of Chad McQueen in the Karate Kid Part 1. Yeah. And him with Zapka and, Tony O'Dell and the rest of the OGs, right? And she made a posting saying, Chad McQueen will not be appearing in Cobra Kai. We appreciate the fan base, everybody reaching out. But she recently deleted it.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I haven't.
Why would you delete it? Yeah. So that, I was just kind of like playing detective. Yeah. And I'm like, why would you delete that? I don't know.
I haven't heard that. That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that actually kind of entices me a little bit. It makes me have a little bit of hope.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, what? Yeah. Like, just leave it. Maybe too much messages or.
No, if he waited till 2024 and it's been a few years, there's got to be something behind that.
Yeah, so obviously something's kind of cooking backstage. So
yeah.
So if you're a Dutch fan and and you want to see him come out, this is, like I said, 50-50. Why not?
Yeah, he's very top of the list for sure.
And the one thing I like about the big 3, I'll give them credit for something, is obviously they're big fans of the show, obviously the movie and everything like that. They're really in tune with every character. They're not stupid.
They know
every single character.
They know from the top of the casting call to the bottom. They know every Karate Kid character 1 through 4 from
everyone, even the background characters.
100%.
people that had the most minimal role ever.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So like, don't count that out. Like, you know, I mean, I'm not saying he is coming, but I'm saying there's a possibility. Like, why not? If I was running the show, I'd be like, hey man, let's try to lure in Chad McQueen one more time. This is the last final scene. Let's go big. Let's do this.
Well, you know, another big thing, you know, it's on Netflix now, which is a completely broader audience. And I'm not saying he's all about the money, because I mean, he's got money, but I mean,
he's got money. Chad McQueen has money.
The check now with Netflix is going to be much larger than what YouTube would have offered him.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not a big deal with it,
but that's something you got to kind of take into account.
Yeah. It's not a money issue with Chad McQueen. Yeah. He's in a particular place in his life where he's happy. He likes it quiet. He likes race cars. He likes racing. That's what he likes to do. And, you know what I mean? Just because, you know, he's not in the acting business doesn't mean he hates it. It's just.
Right. Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? He was
a young kid at the time, you know, stuff changes.
Exactly. And, you know, Chad McQueen, wherever you are, you want to make an appearance, make everybody happy.
Well, you know, somebody else was out of the active. Thomas Ian Griffith was out of the active business for 10, 15 years.
See? Yeah.
I mean, you know, their situations are definitely a lot different, but I mean, the big three's got a way of getting people back for sure.
They do, yeah. And then, you know, I mean, like, I've interviewed them. They're nice guys, and they're well aware of everything. They're top notch all the way.
The next one, I'll get into Freddie Fernandez from Karate Kid 1.
Freddie, yes.
Yeah, they had the Fernandez Meat Company. I think season 2 in the ice room scene. We've seen that in the cooler.
Yeah.
You know, he hasn't came back. I mean, I'm not saying he'll come back, but I think, you know, any of the OG films, I'd love to see anyone come back. You know, he had a pretty not significant role, but it wasn't really minor either. You know, he had his, you know, he was kind of Daniel's friend at the end and then kind of turned on him, but maybe he'll have, you know, a small cameo.
Yeah, I remember at the end of the Karate Kid 1, when Daniel wins the All Valley tournament.
They all run out there, yeah.
You do see him running out there and, you know, kind of lifting him up and, you know, you're the man, Daniel, kind of thing. So I think it was like all forgiven. And like you said, they were training in his meat factory.
Yep.
What was the name? It was called Fernandez Meat like something.
Fernandez, I can pull up the picture. It was like just like Fernandez Meat Company. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, something like that. So they've kept in touch, him and Daniel. So that's pretty interesting. Would he come back? I don't know. I don't know how they would really bring him in. What he would really.
Again, like he said,
Sapka's wedding. I don't think he was friends with.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? They could have. High school people change from the time to high. I mean, there's just a variety of. They could see each other in the store. They could throw something in.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Or maybe they could have some sort of
high school reunion. They could
something like that. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Imagine that. That'd be really cool, actually. They had that. Yeah, they'd bring Ali Mills back. And actually, speaking of Elizabeth Shue, you think she'll be in the final season?
You know, if they have the wedding, I could maybe, you know, see her in there, just like cut pan to her a couple scenes.
Do you think that would be awkward for Johnny and Carmen? The reason I say that is because Johnny used to date her, and Carmen's probably like, you know, why would you invite one of your exes to a wedding?
Here's the thing: after Johnny and Carmen like hung out, Miguel mentioned something about, oh, how'd your date with Allie go or whatever.
I remember that. Yeah,
you know, so she knows that, you know, so I'm sure there's a little bit of.
Sure, that's what I mean. So like, you know what I mean? Like realistically, like. From the woman's perspective?
For me, the Allie thing's one of those things. If she returns, great. But I feel we got her, kind of like the closure on her character.
You think so? With Elizabeth Shue? Yeah.
She came back. She had her scenes with both.
Yeah.
You know, I'm fine with kind of how, you know, her character ended up, if that's the end for her. But, I mean, I'm fine if she comes back in. It won't, you know, completely fine.
Yeah, Elizabeth Shue, like, who wouldn't want to like have her come back, right? Yeah, and she's single now, so.
Yeah. Maybe Dutch will come back from prison and get.
Imagine that. Yeah, that'd be hilarious, man. Oh my god. Yeah. That's funny as hell. But let's how about Karate Kid 3? Like Dennis. Let's talk about Dennis.
Yeah. So, you know, Snake and Dennis. I guess start off with Dennis, obviously. William Christopher Ford, black belt. I mean, trains in BJJ as well. He's trained a lot of martial arts. He actually has a really cool show, 52 Masters, where he trains with a master of each martial art, each discipline.
Yeah.
So, he's well shaped. I mean, dude he really wouldn't even need a stunt double. Even though, it might have been on IMDb that he has one in season 6.
Yeah. Funny enough, Karate Kid 3, he only had, like 2 lines or something like that. He was a henchman for Terry Silver. I made a video of Dennis returning. Yep. There is a lot of evidence of, spoiler alert, Dennis William Christopher Ford returning in Cobra Kai season 6. I heard 3 episodes. There is a guy by the name of Freddie Poole. He is actually well known for stunts. He's done if you're a fan of that show with Sylvester Stallone, Tulsa King.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, he's done like stunts for one of the Planet of the Apes, Ant-Man, bunch of stuff. Like the guy doesn't need any introduction. So I heard that Freddie Poole is the stuntman for William Christopher Ford, plays Dennis. So which episodes? I think he might be introduced in part 2. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's part 2.
One thing with that is it really could be 1 episode, but IMDb, anybody can go in and edit anything. So
100%.
That's why I never fully trust that, because I remember it said had Allie being in all 10 episodes or something, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, people, you can toy with it for sure. But yeah, it's more than likely Dennis is going to return. Now, if Dennis does return, I do think he will work for Terry Silver.
Funny you mention that because, he was Mike Barnes' trainer. He trained Mike Barnes, he was in pretty much all the training chains. Mike was kind of just beating on him, because Snake, Dennis took care of the training. Snake took care of everything else. Mm-hmm. Did Dennis have a falling out with Terry Silver and Barnes after? Because I wonder if they, kind of blamed it on Dennis. Oh, you didn't train him good enough. Even though Silver and them basically sabotaged Mike Barnes' victory because he was dominating clearly until he played around too much and just got caught. Mm-hmm. It just makes me wonder, did he continue to have some sort of relationship with Silver? Or did, it's just, I kind of wonder what that aftermath would have been like.
Well, I think Terry Silver's tactics is the reason why Mike Barnes lost, which was ridiculous, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mike Barnes could have easily, like I said earlier. He could have wiped Daniel LaRusso right off the floor. It's not even, it's not even a debate. But I don't think Terry Silver had any quarrels or any beef with Dennis or a Snake. He was their henchman. They were, they did as they were told, and that was pretty much it.
He wasn't there telling them, hey, win a point, lose a point, whatever. He was just, he's basically a sparring dummy, And
they were like Mike Barnes sparring partners, and they worked for Terry Silver.
Barnes around and I guess helped stop Daniel. I don't know all what they did, but
so that's why I see Terry Silver and Dennis still having some sort of relationship. Just because we haven't seen Dennis in the previous seasons. Right. You know what I mean? Maybe Dennis was the one that lit Mike Barnes' furniture store for all we know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Terry, he just tells people to do it and do it.
Yeah.
They do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and but I see him coming back as one of Terry Silver's henchmen still.
Yeah, I'd love to see Dennis come back. There is that picture of one of the writers, I think Josh, wearing the Dennis Lives t-shirt a couple years ago, or the Dennis Lives shows you screens don't hit back shirt. So, he's got that on Instagram. I mean, I'm not saying that means anything, but
Yeah, and I've seen a couple recent photos of William Christopher. He's a big dude.
Oh, he's in shape, man.
That's what I mean. Can you imagine him on screen?
He still looks amazing now. Yeah.
Yeah, if he does return to Cobra Kai season 6, I think people are in for a total surprise. When you saw Dennis in Karate Kid 3 and you see him now, you're not even gonna recognize him. This guy's a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine him and Terry Silver, back at it and doing what they do best, right? So
I mean, I know it probably doesn't mean anything, but I did post that picture of had Joe Esposito, Randy Heller, Martin Cove, Sean Kanan,
seen it,
Ron Thomas, Daryl Vidal, William Christopher, Dennis. late Rob Garrison as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, hope to see Dennis and Vidal back as well as You're the Best in Cobra Kai season 6. John Hurwitz liked it. Does that mean anything? Couldn't tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hey.
Just speaking of Joe Esposito and You're the Best, I can't believe we still haven't heard it. Do you think they're saving it for
I have a theory on that, actually.
All right, let's.
My theory on You're the Best is there was I don't know, all the episodes. I saw episode list one time. It said one of the episodes was called The Karate Kid.
Oh.
I feel that episode perfect. Put You're the Best in the You're Karate. If that's the actual name, I feel like that'd just be, for me, that'd be perfect. But
that makes sense. Do you think they would, if they do bring that song back, do you think they would introduce it in the Sekai Taikai?
I wouldn't think so. I feel it'd be more of a montage,
like a training kind of like Rocky montage kind of thing. That they're
Sekai Taikai it wouldn't feel right for me.
Yeah, you're right about that, right?
Yeah,
you're right. There's a bunch of international students competing.
I just want to hear the song, but I don't know.
Speaking of Joe Esposito, now I heard a rumor. Now, don't take this with a grain of salt. So, don't take my word for it or anything. I've interviewed him as well, and I heard that he is in the picture of Cobra Kai season 6. Not for You're the Best, but he did a song specifically for Johnny Lawrence.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like what song? I have no idea. I guess time will tell when we watch it.
Yeah.
He's in the picture.
I think the last this is all these could be fake titles. There's one X Degenerate, I think, which is supposed to be the last episode.
I didn't look at the titles yet. Because is this for part 1 to 5? See,
the original ones I saw was just 10. So I don't know. I mean, look, any dude could have just made these, but because episode 1, season 1's X Degenerate would make sense for the last.
Sure.
I mean, this is probably crazy. Maybe Joe Esposito is just the singer at Johnny's wedding. Everybody knows it's Joe Esposito, but you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. Since I brought up the whole Johnny Lawrence thing.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I specifically heard some sort of background music kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know. It could be
it's
some
fun to kind of just play around.
Sure, speculate. Yeah. But I guess Joe Esposito is in the picture, but I don't know if You're the Best.
I'd love for
that. Yeah, for sure. You have to throw that song in some way somehow. You can't have a show and not. Look,
it's season 6. There's no other seasons.
Yeah.
Sure, there'll be spinoffs, but there's no other Cobra Kai.
That's what I mean.
That's what I'm saying with all these characters. I mean, I feel they're going to try to bring back everyone they can. And
sure.
Everything they haven't, knock out now because this is it.
That's true. I have to agree with you on that. And it's now or never, right? So, and you know what I mean? Daryl Vidal, for instance. You know what I mean?
Another one I really want to see back. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to hate on any writing, but if you don't bring back Daryl Vidal, it's just a mistake because there's no Karate Kid or Cobra Kai without Daryl Vidal. Created the Crane, helped train everyone. And he's a master. I mean, the dude's a freaking badass. Why? If he's not back, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Every season I've been waiting for them to put in Daryl Vidal, right? They've had their chances. They never capitalized on it. Maybe the younger generation that haven't seen the Karate Kid films, maybe they're not familiar with him because he had minimal roles. That's actually not entirely true. Sure, he did have
it's not the full story.
Right. Alvinson, he specifically found Daryl Vidal for a reason.
He scouted him out at a local terms. Hey, you want to be in a movie? Yeah, sure.
Alvinson saw this guy and he's like, holy shit, who the hell is this?
Yeah.
So the story. He brought him in. He trained a lot of the actors, martial arts. Like you said, he's the creator of the crane kick. He was a stunt double for Mr. Miyagi when he's doing the crane kick on the log. He's had a huge part of the Karate Kid, the first Karate Kid film.
Yeah.
So three ways of bringing him back. Sekai Taikai, maybe under the Philippines because his real ethnicity is he's Filipino. Johnny's wedding. He fought Johnny in 1981. I believe in the quarterfinals, eliminated him, and Daryl Vidal won the championship that year. Lost to Johnny Lawrence in the semifinals. So those two have a history with each other.
I feel like they may have competed more than was actually, stated. Because I remember on the article, that one article, it said Vidal won. So they could have fought 3 or 4 or 5. I mean, who knows how many times. So,
it's funny you bring that. Daryl Vidal and the Locust Valley Karate Club. I don't want to get too off topic, but here's something I don't know. Maybe you may agree with me. Maybe you may disagree with me. Sure, they brought in Locust Valley at the All Valley tournaments.
Not just them. When Chosen beats up all the senseis, they had
a sensei there
in there as well. So they've done it twice.
I don't like how they kind of introduced the Locust Valley in Cobra Kai. I'll tell you why. If you look back through history, back in the 80s, I'm not sure exactly what year John Kreese opened Cobra Kai, but I'm just assuming maybe late 70s, 80s, early 80s. Because since Daryl Vidal fought Johnny Lawrence in 1981, you would think they existed maybe a year prior, or 2 years, 3 years prior to that.
Yeah.
But so did Locust Valley. They're not new customers. They've been around the valley just as long as Cobra Kai. But my problem with that is they kind of made them look like, I hate to say this, excuse my language, but they made Locust Valley look like shit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, for a little bit.
They have a rich history. They probably won just as many titles as Cobra Kai.
Right. And they probably continued to win. There's a couple things on that for me. Because, it's mentioned, there's a flashback of him in the first ever episode of Johnny beating him.
Yes.
Then Kreese mentions he's a 3rd generation black belt, right?
They mentioned him 3 times in Cobra Kai.
Yeah. So if he's mentioned as a 3rd generation black belt, wouldn't that mean his father or grandfather were black belts? They probably ran Locust Valley, so it would have made sense for it to have been passed down to him.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Locust Valley was not in Cobra Kai season 1.
Right.
So why bring him back in the later season and then not have Daryl Vidal? I mean, because I remember when the trailer came out, everyone saw Locust. Oh, Daryl Vidal is back.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Why bring him back if you're not going to bring back the actual guy?
I totally agree with you, and I think they screwed up completely, the writers, on that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Maybe they got a way better way now, but I just feel like that was just perfect. Maybe it was just too predictable for them, but I
don't know. Because if you look back, going back through history again, Daryl Vidal competed in 1981. He had to have competed in 82, 83, and the last year he competed was in 84 against Johnny Lawrence, and he lost in the semis, right?
Technically got 3rd, I guess, since Bobby was disqualified. So
right. So, he's an All-Valley champ, you know what I mean? A semifinalist, and, he's got history, and so does Locust Valley Karate. I just think they could have used them better. They make it somehow Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do's just had 1 student in the Karate Kid films.
2 if you count Julie. But she didn't compete. So
right, she didn't compete in the tournament, right? Yeah. And so I just think they could have did a little better job on adding them on to bigger role. I don't know. They just made them look kind of ridiculous, and I think they have a rich.
None of them really advanced far.
Yeah.
And, Locust had other fighters in Karate Kid 1. It wasn't just Daryl either. They had a few other guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I remember on the billboard, do you remember the Locust Valley karate competitor that was in the Karate Kid 1? There was Vidal and one other guy. You remember the name? I can't remember the last name.
I can't remember the name. I believe he lost to a Cobra Kai or something.
Yeah. Was it some weird, I can't remember the name, man. But
I remember because it's just him getting kind of whooped on, and just has Vidal kind of on his knees to the side, just kind of, oh, okay.
Yeah, and we've seen very little of Locust Valley, and we saw a girl in the girls division. She got pretty far from the Locust Valley. I couldn't remember her name, but I think they could have done something with Locust Valley, right? That's not the only.
Again, you bring him back in to fight Chosen, and it's just oh my gosh.
I'm
not going to complain. I'm a little selfish on that one.
Me too. It's a soft spot for me because we're friends with Daryl Vidal. Maybe we're a little biased.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But
it's one of those things that we both spoke to Daryl, and Daryl is 100% in. It's not like he does not want to do it. So if he wants to do it, it's a phone call. It's not, and they have his contact, and it wouldn't be hard because they had to contact him to put that footage in the one season.
Absolutely. And absolutely.
It's a phone call away with him. If they don't, to me, it's a huge mistake. Some people may not care, but I do.
Yeah, maybe we're like going overboard. Maybe that's like not what the viewers kind of want to hear. But like, I'm a fan of the OGs of the Karate Kid films, and I think if there wasn't for them, Cobra Kai obviously wouldn't even exist. So like, that's why I'm a little passionate about that. And obviously, Daryl Vidal's a friend of ours, so like we would like to, nothing but the best for Daryl Vidal. We hope to see him in season 6. And the third way I see him coming back is playing Mr. Miyagi. Because he looks like Mr. Miyagi. Yeah. So if you see him like, what he looks like today, he actually kind of looks like Mr. Miyagi.
100%.
Yeah. And in my interview, he actually sent the big 3 his training videos. And he says, hey, I look like Mr. Miyagi if you need me to kind of play Mr. Miyagi. So those are the 3 possible ways of seeing Daryl Vidal returning to Cobra Kai if he does.
Yeah, for sure. For him, with him and William Christopher Ford to play Dennis, one reason I do just really like both of them, they're legit black belts. Like these dudes, they're their martial arts legit. You know what I'm saying? They're just a part of that for me. Same with Ron Thomas, and Thomas Ian Griffith as well. It's just when these guys are like legit black belts and they really like this is what they do. Yeah. I feel like it just adds like an extra layer of authenticity to
100%. I agree with you. Yeah. And not to sound like mean or anything like that, because all the actors and actresses are doing a phenomenal job, right? They've been having a lot of training sessions and fight choreographers helping them on the way, because most of them have no karate experience, right?
They're all really white belts, they don't have the experience.
Yeah, that's why I'm always for people with some sort of like martial arts, background coming into the films. Interesting you bring that up, because the new Cobra Kai students you see with Kim Do-eun and John Kreese,
they're all legit,
they're all martial artists and karate champions. That's what John Hurwitz said in his recent interview. So they stepped up their game. So like you can see kind of like, all right, you know what I mean? We're not messing season 6 up. We're going full blast on this one, and I think we're in for a big surprise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just just the like you can tell a difference when you're looking at a legit martial artist rather than, I mean, everybody's done a great job again, like you said, but they're just, when you've done, like Daryl and these guys, they've been training 30, 40, 50 years. So it's just like, they're, they're legit badasses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's funny because going back to Daryl Vidal is when you watch the first Karate Kid movie and you watch the All Valley tournament, the only one that stands out and you say into your head, you're like, holy shit, that guy knows what he's doing. Is Daryl Vidal. It's Daryl Vidal, right? Oh. He's the one that stands out because he was doing those acrobatic back kicks, right?
Right.
He was just pounding everybody.
Right.
And but yeah, so like you can tell. And I'm not a martial artist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done boxing, but no martial arts or anything. I don't have anything. But you can just tell. You're like, holy shit, this guy is fucking legit. Yeah.
I love when he does the kick and just knocks down the big old fat Cobra Kai guy. I love that. That's
right. Oh, you know what's funny about that back kick? He hit him for real, he said.
Yeah, he told me.
He told me too. He goes, I hit him for real. And that reaction was real. He's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd be the same reaction too.
Great, man. Daryl Vidal, man. I hope you're in season 6 if you're watching this, man.
Yeah.
For sure. So is there any other characters that we may have missed?
I mean, you got some, you got Chosen's henchmen. Those don't really,
maybe if they go back to Japan, like
I don't really see him going back to Okinawa. But who I do see returning, it was hinted in the last season. I do see Kimiko returning for Chosen because Chosen.
Yeah, that's so obvious.
When he came back, it looks like he didn't go back, or he may have went back for a short bit. So maybe she comes and visits him.
One way or the other, those two are going to connect some way, somehow, 100%. For sure. Yeah, and that's going to be kind of like funny to see, you know what I mean? Chosen and Kumiko together. He's had I guess, apparently a big crush on her since teenagers. So So that would be all right.
Thinking about it, you can look back at like a lot of guys, they try to bully, like, well, not to those extents, obviously.
Yeah.
Do that with females, you know, when they're
yeah, that was a typical like 80s, 90s kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know, let me act like
a knife to him and all that. No, but
yeah, let me act like a tough guy. Maybe I'll impress her, kind of thing. You know, girls, you know, they may or may not have gotten, you know, turned on by it, but like, you know, the rest is history. So we'll see what happens with those two. But I see a happy ending.
Yeah. The only other, I mean, there's some other characters, you know, that were minor, but, you know, Ned Randall, you know, from Next Karate Kid could return.
Yeah, we forgot about Ned Randall. Yeah. Good old Ned. Yeah.
Kind of like hopped over, but, you know, that's the only other one from the Next Karate Kid that could. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of a McGowan thing. Maybe if, like, he flipped his ways and got with Julie. But other than that, I really wouldn't see a
Yeah, I think like as much as I would like to see Ned Randall in there, I just don't see him in the picture. Yeah, he was an antagonist for the Alpha Elite. He worked under Colonel Dugan, and at the end of the film, they obviously went their different ways, right? So
Ned was redeemed. I will give him that. You can see like at the end, like he does realize like what he's doing is not good. So maybe him and Julie work. They're different. Time will tell.
Yeah, well, Colonel Dugan, you know, he told him to pretty much kill John. He's like, you know, that's a little extreme, right? Like, maybe I'll like roughen him up, but that's not it. But he's like, nah. Yeah. So they parted their ways. But Ned Randall, I can't really see as of now. But you never know.
Yeah, another, you know, who I do see returning. They've been in the series. You know, it was in the last season. I think Terry Silver's. There's no way his story's over. In my personal opinion.
Okay, so I made a video on that. You know, like I don't know why the fans were saying Terry Silver is not going to be in season. That's ridiculous. Like absolutely.
If he goes away like that, I'll completely admit I'm wrong, but there's just no way.
I can confirm 100% Terry Silver will be in Cobra Kai season 6.
He won't be. Look, he's going to be kind of how Kreese and him flipped. I feel, you know. Mm-hmm. Kreese kind of got, because he went to jail, so he was kind of flipped out a little bit, and Silver kind of went more to that main kind of spot there.
Sure.
So I kind of could see that reversal happening again.
You know, you haven't seen the end of Terry Silver. That's crazy.
They're not him going off on that cop car. Believe me, like we said, he's got all these ties. Believe me,
exactly.
He will be in Cobra Kai season 6.
100%. I can 100% confirm that. Sorry. Let me ask you this now. This may be a little tricky. We're going to throw in 3 people. Terry Silver, John Kreese, Kim Do-eun. Now, out of the 3 of them, and no disrespect to the other 2, Terry Silver's the smartest.
Oh, yeah.
Now, legally, let's talk about legally, like realistically now. I know this is a show, but we have to be a little realistic. Legally, Terry Silver still owns Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know if John Kreese has any sort of legal document to say he owns it.
That's a very good point because, you know, Johnny really never owned it
People forget about this. People don't bring this stuff up.
Kreese came in. I mean, Silver, that dude, like he's a con man is what he is.
Sure.
So, yeah, especially when he was making all the dojos and all that stuff.
That's what you had to really own it.
For me, though, like the biggest question I do have, what I really am speculating on, like with the whole Silver Kreese Diane thing is, will that I mean, obviously, I know they're kind of representing like a country, but will it be Cobra Kai?
See, that's where I have an issue with as well. Okay, so Terry Silver has legal problems now. He's also the legal owner of Cobra Kai. Now, did Kim Do-eun officially sign legal documents that says that she also owns 50% of the Cobra Kai dojo? Because if she did, she could technically enter the Cobra Kai dojo still, because she's 50% owner.
Right.
So this is where we
I don't know if it's a 50% thing, but like, you know, she said she didn't come there for money, but you know, he said he could offer her legacy. And I feel like if you're saying legacy, I'm not maybe a 10, 15%. I don't know. I feel she did get some sort of stake in the brand.
Yes. Okay. So when the Sakai committee came, when they came to the United States, they entered 2 American dojos in there that we know of so far, Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai.
Right.
So, like, now we know that there's multiple countries being represented.
Right.
Like, obviously they're coming from certain dojos as well. Right. So, now that John Kreese and Kim Do-eun are back in Korea, so I'm thinking Cobra Kai would technically go under the South Korean country name.
Here's something, it may never get mentioned, but will they have to get an evaluation to get them in? Because those are all different students.
See, yeah. And it still goes back to Terry Silver because he's the legal owner.
And like not one student went with either of them. Mm-hmm. So it's one of these, I mean, I'm sure those are all legit, Marshall, but like they'll get in just fine. But it's one of these things. I wonder if the committee will have to come out there and, maybe I don't know.
Maybe they already did prior to them when they came to the United States and they already got accepted. So that's another thing we got. This is crazy, man. This is actually very good. A lot of people actually, I haven't heard anybody bring this up. But what we've brought up, actually, this is getting really interesting.
What we also brought up in your trailer breakdown we did of your channel, everybody go check it on Cobra Kai Canada from the trailer we got. All the senseis were from her dojo or dojang, as she said. We didn't see them in the trailer, but it would make sense for them to be there too, because
the fist you're talking, right?
Yeah, I would assume, Han Wu
with Yan Wu,
all of them would just fly on back.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, they had to have left the country as well. Why would they stay there?
Tyron Willie's bigger, so I don't know if he'll be able to return, but I feel like the majority of them should be back.
Yan Wu for sure.
Yeah.
Played by Jake Huang, who you and I both interviewed.
Yeah.
One was Tyron Woodley, right? Former UFC fighter. He was part of the Fist. I don't know if I'm sure they could have other people replace if they don't come back. Right. But they have to have Hyun Woo because he played a big part for the Fist.
100%. And with Cynthia Odell Woodley, I mean, he lost his finger, so I'm sure he wants some revenge too. You know what I'm saying? So.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true.
One thing that did happen is, Wonder Boy Thompson, MMA fighter, was in it. Mm-hmm. One of his UFC fights conflicted with the scheduling. That's why he was only in very minimal parts.
Right.
So I'm hoping we might get to see a little more of him, maybe see him in some fight scenes and, whatnot. Maybe he had some more, no scheduling conflicts.
It's funny you say that because now I made a video of this. Now there's an AEW female wrestler by the name of Britt Baker. So if you're a wrestling fan, you'll know who I'm talking about. She's an AEW, not WWE. Her and Martin Cove are really good friends.
I have seen a post of the rest. I'm not familiar with her, but I have seen, yes.
Yeah, and she's a huge Cobra Kai fan. She was actually at the red carpet at the Cobra Kai season 5, whatchamacallit, premiere.
Interesting.
And she was there. And there was an Instagram post of her in Atlanta when they were filming season 6.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's just coincidence.
A little cameo. Who knows?
Yeah. No. Yeah. She's not going to play a big part, but I think Martin Cole was like, let's throw her in the picture, as a Cobra Kai, maybe female sensei of some sort.
Here's a couple things. These two actors, I'd love to see them out now. Van Damme and Sylvester Stallone have both been mentioned heavily. I'm not saying they'll be in. I mean, they've mentioned I made a video one time of all the Sylvester Stallone Rock 3, Over the Top, all these movies.
Great movie, by the way, Over the Top.
Yeah, Over the Top's awesome.
I love that movie.
They showed Bloodsport at the drive-in. It's just man, it'd be really cool to see just one of those really big big-time actors. Just make a small little.
If they pull a Jean-Claude Van Damme in Cobra Kai, wow! I got, hats off.
I can see it. I'm not saying it'll happen. I do feel like there's going to be some big, just actors and stuff, just real. I feel like we'll see at least one or two of those.
Sakai Taikai for sure. He's from Belgium. There is no Belgium representative.
Guest speaker than out. I mean, they could put him something in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Special guest Jean-Claude Van Damme because he's not another character. They mentioned Kyle's Jean-Claude Van Damme. So they could be special guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For some sort of intro to the Sakai Taikai or something like that. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Maybe they'll make him do the Dim Mak, from Bloodsport.
Yeah. Little split up in there.
Yeah, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Remember, guys, you heard that here at Karate Kid Fanatics. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see, just some OG, not OG, but OG of that era of TV.
Absolutely. I think you're actually you make a good point. I think there's going to be a lot of big celebrities making brief appearances of some sort. We'll see what the big three pulled out of their
hats.
hats.
Season 6.
Absolutely, I think so. I never thought of that, but since you brought that up, that you make a valid point there, man. I totally agree with you on that.
Another thing we kind of spoke on prior is in this trailer it does show Cobra Kai signing coming down. The show's called Cobra. I just don't see that being the end of Cobra Kai.
You don't make and call a show Cobra Kai and somehow it just disappears off the face of the earth and Miyagi-Do is somehow like, you know what I mean?
Miyagi Fang.
Victorious. Yeah. And then in the end, it doesn't add up to me. No way. Yeah. Yeah. And it goes back. That's why I go back to the whole Mike Barnes thing. Right.
Yeah.
So like, I'm hoping there's a plot twist.
He'll open up his own thing because Cobra Kai is still technically entered in the tournament.
They are entered, yeah. It's just
they have not been revoked or banned for any reason that we have found out. So
well, yeah, it's because I know we're like kind of like jumping spots, but like it goes back to like who's the legal owner of Cobra Kai,
right?
Now the Sakai Takai committee, I'm sure they probably heard the news of Terry Silver getting arrested, so I'm sure they're going to intervene and say, something's got to happen here with this dojo. What's happening, kind of thing. So something's got to stir up, right? So something's just not adding up with me. And I know I don't see okay, if they end this show, now a lot of people are going to get upset with me, but I don't care. If they end this show with Miyagi-Do, obviously they're in the Sakai Taikai tournament, and Robbie wins. End of story. They go to Johnny's wedding. He gets happily married. He has two one biological son, one step,
and then
son.
Their new son or daughter,
and another one's coming in, and the end. Like, what the hell are you guys doing?
There's got to be some sort of
you don't end a show like that. See, that's why I don't want Robbie to win. Everyone's like, Robbie's due for a win. Okay, big deal. So what? I would actually make him like maybe go to the finals again and lose.
Yeah.
And maybe he's gonna end up like down the road, and you start off with him. Like it just you can't have a happy ending. No way.
He just to me, I don't see them writing it too perfect. They might write it perfect at the end, but there's going to be something that comes up after, because I think the way it's set up, I think Sakai Taikai is going to be mid-season. From what I understand, I could be off on that. Like the next 5 of the 15, like 5 through 10 or 6 or whatever.
Right.
So there's got to be some sort of other storyline coming through.
Well, yeah, that's why I said there's got to be a big plot.
Yeah, there's
some character. Somebody's got to be playing something.
And the biggest problem with this 15 episodes is the trailers we're seeing are very minimal now. They're not so it's a lot harder for us to speculate. Like once we see these first 5 episodes, we can pop out 20 videos for you guys because we will have a much deeper, more insight to what's kind of going on and more speculation. But right now it's kind of just speculation at this point because we have very minimal stuff. Like I feel like what we really seen is like episode 1, maybe 2. Not really.
That's it. I agree with you. They do that all the time. Yeah. It's what we saw. Okay, we saw most of the trailer. Everybody's at Miyagi-Do training.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's and
very brief.
Yeah, very brief. Kreese and Kim Do-eun with their students. Now that's pretty much it at the end of the day, right? They're not gonna
secrets. How many secrets Miyagi has? My God, I mean that dude's got secrets out his butt, I guess, and it's kind of like season 3 thing, but
and it's just like if you make this show too predictable, like the topics that we brought up with the whole Robbie Keane winning the Sakai Taika or Miguel or Samantha or anybody, it's just it doesn't fly with me. Like I know people are probably going to get upset, you know what I mean, like and think otherwise, which is fine. Like you're entitled to your opinion, but like if I'm a writer and I'm writing the show and it's called Cobra Kai, not that I'm saying that Cobra Kai has to win. I'm not even saying Cobra Kai has to win. I'm saying neither Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai wins. I think a new villain, a new antagonist shows up and completely just throws everybody off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The thing is, like, I'll give the big 3 this. There's so many things you thought would go one way and went the complete opposite. They've never really been very predictable in their writing. So
Yes.
I don't see it going to that. You know, I'll say it again about the Sakai Taika. I don't see Dimitri winning, but he's my dark horse.
He's the dark horse. You bring up
because
a good point.
every season he's getting mentioned more and more, and like he was in the trailer kind of quite a bit, really.
He was. Yeah.
What he did. I'm not saying he's going to win it. I highly doubt. I wouldn't say I highly doubt that, but he's my dark horse to win the Sakai Taika.
I have to agree with you. I definitely agree with you, and I don't think anybody even sees that even coming. If he does win,
if he does, I'll still be shocked. I'll be like, well, I could kind of
absolutely
foreshadowing there, but
yeah, at least we'll have this in the archives now.
Yeah.
So for proof, So you guys heard it here first, Dimitri dark horse. So I'll agree with you on that. If Miyagi
I feel like it might be like the All Valley. He'll put up a better fight than people will think.
Right. Yeah, like you said to the trailer, he looks more determined. He's becoming a better fighter each and every season, right? So he's kind of like, going up the ranks. So yeah, dark horse for sure, right? He started
I don't know. I feel like the champ. It's either gonna be Robbie, potentially Dimitri, or just someone from another dojo or something.
See, I like Robbie. You know what I mean? I have nothing against Robbie. He's a great all around fighter. I think he's one of the best fighters on the show.
He arguably, if he doesn't get hurt in the first All Valley, and if he doesn't get distracted due to Kenny or whatever it was in the last one, he could easily be a 2-time champion. But
right, yeah, for sure. Well, I would.
Does it? Okay,
it's just too predictable. It's just that's what it comes down to.
Does it make sense to get second at the local karate tournament twice and then win
and
the
lose
world championship or whatever?
No, that's what I mean. Yeah.
I won't be upset with it, but it'd be kind of like, come on, it's like
it's that's why I can't wait for season 6, man. I want to see what they have up their sleeve, man. This is crazy.
So many, like Daniel said, the possibilities are really just endless.
Yeah, and when I saw those Cobra Kai students, Kim Do-eun's and John Kreese's students, you look at those guys. And you just and you look at Miyagi though, you just kind of it's like Steve Urkel getting in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? What the hell?
That's why I don't know if they have word of Kreese doing that, but
yeah,
they're probably realizing their competition. That's where they're having to bring in Barnes and different guys. Heck, they could be bringing in Vidal and Dennis to help them out. Who knows? I
don't know, man. How much help does Miyagi really need? Jeez, they got.
Well, I'm just saying they got to get up their competitions. They might be bringing all the specialists they can.
Do you think anybody's died in the Sakai Taikai tournament? I absolutely think somebody has.
I kind of wonder if it's they're trying to make kind of like a
Rocky IV, like a Drago type, Drago kills somebody as
like a Kumite type of deal.
You know what I think they're trying to implement? Best of the best.
That's funny you say that because I know it's we don't know if it's real, but one of the episodes, is potentially called Best of the Best or something like that. I've seen. That may not even be how that is, but yeah, 100%.
I think Best of the Best. If anybody hasn't seen that movie, I highly recommend it. It's actually one of my favorite martial arts movies. Yeah. Now it's Team USA fighting Team Korea.
Yep.
Now the American team, they only have maybe a few months of training, whereas the Korean team, whereas the Korean team trains all year round and is financed by their government. Yep. And they're high level fighters. These guys have killed people in the tournaments. That's how great they are. It's a great movie. I think that's kind of what they are
foreshadowing. 100%.
Yeah, I think Best of the Best. If I could be wrong, but I don't see it any other way. Yeah,
and then with that potential leaked episode title, Best. I mean, it kind of just.
Yeah. And speaking of
BS, for all we know, the only locked in first 5, but
right. Speaking of Sakai Taikai, now there is rumors because there was a lot of leaks that they were filming in Spain. Do you think the Sakai Taikai will be held in potentially Spain as a venue?
I mean, who knows? I mean, with TV, you can make it look like anywhere, but sure. I mean, since it seems like a multi-country thing, it feels like I feel like, I'm sure it's deep, but it could be like the Olympics where it changes
every couple of years it has to go to a different venue. And I think, what's funny is because I looked at cab castings. Now a lot of people that don't know what cab castings is, they cast a lot of like actors and actresses for Cobra Kai. They have like Facebook page where they always
the background and stuff. Yeah,
they've done they needed a lot of casting for like Spanish roles of some sort. So, and it's been pretty consistent. I always like kept on on top of it. And I think that's a major possibility that Spain could be the venue for Sekai Taikai. Not that it matters. Maybe just if somebody's interested, like, where it would be held. Because like people thought might be in Japan, like Okinawa, for example. That it could be still. I don't know. But I'm just thinking, like, I think Spain is the venue.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So is there any other characters that we might have left out for possible returns?
Ones that have not returned, that's really it. There's a couple more that have, appeared that could come back in. I mean,
right.
I don't really see a Jessica Andrews coming back.
No.
I mean, obviously Allie could return.
Sure.
The OG Cobras, I definitely would see back.
100% them, yes.
I'm really just trying to, Kumiko, obviously, I think will come back.
She will be in the picture for sure, 100%.
Silver, 100%, will be back.
Terry Silver's back, folks. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, Terry Silver is back. Yeah, I can guarantee that. Yeah. So like I guess we hope to see Daryl Vidal, Dutch, obviously, Julie Pierce, Eric McGowan, as we mentioned.
You know who we didn't mention? I don't think we mentioned Snake though.
We didn't. Wow. How did we forget Snake when we were talking about Dennis?
We went from Dennis to something I can't remember, but because I think I mentioned Snake and Dennis. I loved it. Snake was awesome in Karate Kid 3. I don't care what anybody says.
He John was awesome. Yeah, he was. A lot of people don't know that.
He does have a Twitter page. He was in Karate Kid 3, and he was like had a very small role in Rocky 5, and then did like one other film. He's real big into graffiti art. I think he might have been in some crazy stuff in the past few years.
I heard he kind of like just went off the radar for a while. He's still off the radar.
Well, that's kind of why from what I heard, they kind of wanted him in the films, just kind of keep him out of trouble a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be cool to see him back. Maybe be
why not? Hey, his father's the one that started the first Karate Kid film.
Yeah,
maybe it could be like a nice little, for him, personal tribute to his dad or something like that. Something cool like that. Yeah, why not? Yeah, absolutely.
Will they do it? I feel like the big three would definitely offer him something.
Mm-hmm.
Would he be able to do it or want to do it? I couldn't.
Like I wouldn't even know what he looks like today. I've tried to research him.
Recently, and he definitely looks a lot different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, he's
like he had like a fedora on, and
Okay. It'll be interesting. So I think we've covered a lot of possible characters that could return. I think we covered at least the major ones.
Yeah, I mean you could have like Jerry from Cobra Kai who's in Revenge, and there's some of these smaller.
Lamar isn't that what his name was in the film?
I think it was Jerry or Lamar. I can't quite remember.
Something I can't remember either. Yeah,
I think he was Lamar in Revenge of the Nerds. I think.
Just kidding.
I could look on IMDb. I think he was Jerry in Karate Kid 1.
Yeah.
There's just so many.
The possibilities are endless.
They are. Yeah, he was Jerry in.
Okay, I was wrong.
Karate Kid, and he was Lamar in Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got the two mixed up.
Yeah, they're both good films. So yeah.
Yeah. Revenge of the Nerds is a pretty funny film. And I think we covered everybody, man. And plus, we talked a little about Sekai Taikai and little predictions and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I just appreciate you coming on. It was great to be able to speak with you.
Oh man, this is always fun, man. I love having these fun, theories, debates.
I'm not like this is what's going to happen. Just playing around with it, have a little fun.
All for fun at the end of the day.
Comments on what they could see happening. Agree or disagree, positive or negative. I don't mind in the comments and whatnot. But yeah, I just appreciate you coming on. And appreciate everybody hanging in there.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah. So, yep. Thank you again. Everybody be on the lookout. Go follow Cobra Kai Canada on Instagram, YouTube. We'll be pumping out a lot more content. So I appreciate all you guys watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.